Hello guys, and welcome back to OP Painting, and in this tutorial we'll be working on the Lord of Contagion on the new 40k Dark Imperium box set, and let's get started. First I'm going to undercoat with a Vallejo undercoat, Ghost Grey, and then I'll go over that very lightly, few coats, and then I'll go over with the undercoat of a Death Guard Green, watered down on the airbrush, and given a few coats of Death Guard Green. When that dries, I'm going to add a wash Plutonian Camel Shade, and you want to give this a generous amount so it goes into all the crevices and all the detail of the armour. Okay, moving on to the highlights, then I'll use Ogrin Camo, and what I'm doing, I'll just go through the whole model, just going on each of the edges and just picking out the sharp edges and just highlighting them, and you want to go all through the model. Okay, now we're moving on to Abaddon Black, and we're going to go through all the black parts on the model, the hoses, the pipes, etc. And just work your way through the model. Make sure to water your paints down slightly.
It's better to have real solitude all by yourself.
Now using the Screamer Pink, we'll go through all the pink tentacle parts of the body on the armour on the model, and we'll just base coat this using the Screamer Pink. Start off with the watered down Screamer Pink and just build up the layers instead of one thick coat. And now we'll move on to shading the cloak, and we'll add none oil, and you'll notice when you put it on, you'll notice how it will look so much better. The shading will just bring out all the creases in it, and then we'll move straight on to the highlights after that's dried.
So it doesn't matter.
And for the highlights, we're going to be using Tusker Fur and Keslin Flesh for the final highlights, and we'll pick up the edges really easily because they're very obvious on this model, and it shouldn't be so hard to pick up. And you just want to go over the lines very carefully with a nice thin brush and slightly watered down paint. Moving on to the lower cloth, we'll use Nagroth Night, and we'll give it a base coat of that. And then what I do is I just highlight with a slightly lighter purple, and then mix white with that to give it a final highlight with slightly watered down paint. Moving on to the axe weapon, I'll paint it with a base coat of pestilence brown, and then give it a wash of nun oil, and then go over it again with snakebite leather as the highlights, and then slightly mix snakebite leather with a white to give it a final highlight. And that's all for the ribbon around the axe. The axe has got a base coat of lead belcher, and then I'll give it a wash of nun oil. Just going over the gut area, highlighting lighter colours, and basically with Xeris purple I'll just add a bit of white to it, mix it, and add extra highlights like that, going over all the raised areas. Going over the gut with a base coat of celestial grey, and then we'll give it a wash of ripening flesh and then highlight it. Okay, I've never used this Riza Rust before, so I'm going to use this for the first time. And when I first opened it, it's a very thick paint than usual, than not watered down at all. So just load it up on the brush, on a dry brush, and I just basically took all the paint off on the tissue. Had just slightly a little bit left on it, and then just brushed around all the edge areas, all the little hole sunken areas in the axe, and it gives a pretty nice rustic effect. So definitely worth looking into this paint. This dry citadel paint, Riza Rust, gives a very nice effect. moving on to the smoke on top of the model and the end of the axe. I thought I'd go for a flame effect because I just wanted to do something different. And this is the only part apart from the base coat that I airbrushed. So I masked all the area of the model and gave it an undercut of white, then gave it a base coat of yellow from the Citadel air range, and then moved on to orange, and slowly was building transitions from orange, yellow, orange, red, and then the tip is slightly black. There was a bit of spitting on the small flame, but just my fault. I didn't clean the needle properly, so always clean the front of the airbrush needle. That was a rookie mistake I made, but it's not too bad. But yeah, just for the future, just keep that in mind. For highlighting the gold, I used mithril silver, and I just watered it down slightly and went across all the gold bits and just very slightly on the pointed areas, slightly highlighted the gold. I went over the horn with Loractin flesh and then waited for that to dry, then went over it with bleached bone and then final highlight with white. Okay guys, please like and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and the links are at the bottom of this video for all the tools I've used and equipment, and in the meantime, happy painting.